Nadine Murphy, thank you very much indeed for joining Cruise TV tonight. We're obviously doing this to celebrate your 25 years a Crusaders striker. That's been an incredible journey, I'm sure, to say the least. Do you want to talk us through how you got there, first and foremost?
So it was kind of a funny bit of a random one. So when I was like 13, my mother could not cope with me playing football. Absolutely detested it from, I think my first word was football. And I was kind of sneaking off up to Glenstar in Poglass. I'm originally from Demurray Lane. And I was sneaking off to Poglass to a wee team called Glenstar. And I started playing five-a-side football there, and we got entered in a few wee tournaments. But again, with a lot of women's teams, we were struggling to get the 11-a-side. So Stevie Calvert was friends with the coach at Glenstar, and he was saying, "I'm struggling too. What about bring the two teams together? Maybe we'll stand a wee bit better instead of getting out every week."
Yes.
And so lo and behold, next thing we know, 13, we're away over to play for what was then Newton Abbey Strikers, what we were then to become Crusaders. And it was absolutely delighted. My mother was, if only you could see my mother's face when she knew I was just a die-hard footballer, and that's what I live for. So Stevie Calvert used to come to Park Centre, just over there at West Belfast, lift us, and take us all the way over where we were playing at the Valley Leisure Centre. And that's where it grew from, and I never looked back since.
And how did the Newton Abbey Strikers then form this relationship that became Crusaders Striker?
It was actually Crusaders approached, from my understanding, was that Crusaders approached the ladies about amalgamating. They wanted a team affiliated with the club, and obviously we had a really good standing with the club, and the majority of our girls were die-hard supporters of the men's team. So it was a real easy fix, and see, since day dot, I have to say, we were treated just as well as the boys. There was never a division. Whatever the men got, the women were getting. And there was never any tit for tat, oh sure, it's only the women. There was none of that here. And I'm coming from the women's game, we have experienced that along the years. But I have to say, Crusaders Football Club, in an essence, is just about playing and giving everybody a place to play.
And with the season due to start again, obviously, later in April, this will be the first season that you're not preparing for, albeit there was very little football last year with the pandemic. But how does that feel now? Is reality set in that you're not maybe going to be preparing to play for the new season ahead?
It's very daunting, I'll be honest with you. Very daunting, Gavin. Whenever you've given 25 years to a club and to a team that is your family, that's exactly what it was. I'm blessed to have a great family at home, but I'm also so blessed to have had an amazing family on the pitch, and the two just are completely entangled in every way, shape and form. In terms of moving forward with what I'll do, I did take the under-17s with Danielle last year, pre-COVID, and who knows what the future holds, but I'll always be involved in the club in some way, shape and form. In terms of missing the football, I'm excited to see what the club can bring through, and I think you do come to a stage in your career where your body just gives up. You're at that stage where you're like, I can't get mine past my base. So if I can't give everything, and if I can't be the player you need me to be, then it's time to step aside. And it hurts in a lot of ways, but not in so many, because when you've done 25 years and you've got the bruises to prove it, you're happy to step aside, not gonna lie.
I spoke to Danielle a few weeks ago just to get her thoughts on your playing career, and one of the things that she said to me very early in our call was that you were the Paul Scholes of the centre midfield, and I'm not sure who she was likening herself to, Nicky Butt or who it was, but what type of a player were you, Nadine?
Definitely the sort of one that won the ball, picked up the scraps, could do a wee bit of passing and didn't dribble too much. Definitely didn't dribble too much. Wouldn't have been the paciest of players, but was box to box. The energy was there. Communication was always been good. Organisation, and always try to lead from the front. That's all you can do, and you're always trying to be a role model for those ones coming behind you, because essentially I was blessed to have amazing role models in front of me, and you're always conscious of the ones coming behind you. So you want to lead by example and hit those tackles and make those runs and all the rest of it. And pretty much was Danielle and I, maybe not recent years, probably a good 5-10 years ago, complimented each other well in the middle of the park, because Danielle loved to be the ball player and I done everything else probably.
I want to ask you, probably more than ever, Nadine, the timing of this interview in terms of what we witnessed last night with the Northern Ireland international team, and I watched the game, and I have to say, after the game, and when you seen the players' interviews and the manager interviews, it was quite emotional in some ways, and probably from my point of view, I don't know why, and I guess it's probably just you seen the pain that the players had suffered, the probably how much they wanted it, and how much they want women's football in Northern Ireland to be to be viewed and to be a success. What did you make of that last night as someone who has given their life since 12 years of age to women's football?
It was inspiring. There's no other word for it. I mean, I know the majority of those players, and you heard Kenny come out and say 16 of that panel play in the Irish League. You know, they're not full-timers. They're not even part-timers. They have full-time jobs. And the commitment and the sacrifice that those girls make day in and day out, and it's not just 3 sessions a week, it's every single day. Those girls are out blood, sweat and tears to get to that standard they were there last night. 18 months ago, that team wasn't what it looked like. 18 months ago, some of those players weren't even about. And it's taken Kenny to come in and be that new face and inspire those girls and motivate those girls and give them something that they really want to work for. And then all of a sudden, it just creates this amazing, it just starts, I'm even lost for words myself, because it was genuinely, I'm in a massive WhatsApp group with all the football ones, and we were all crying, like genuine. And I am not an emotional person, in any way, shape or form, but the performance that those girls put on last night was just amazing. And where you see the crowds that go and watch them play, and that for me it just speaks 1,000 words.
Is it deeper than obviously what was at stake in terms of going to the Euros? Is it more, Nadine, around what it does for women's football?
Even when I think about working for the IFA and starting for the IFA 13 years ago and where we were, I was part of that era where the Northern Ireland team was disbanded. We had nowhere to play. I had no pathway. And then I'm blessed enough to work for the Irish IFA and be part of trying to create those pathways and be part of coaching within them. There's so much more. Every girl that was out there last night has had to overcome so many obstacles in so many different ways. It's nothing is laid on a plate, because they would have had the thought to have played football as a kid because the pathways weren't there. Now some of the younger ones were are a lot luckier, to be fair, but they still would have faced a lot of disadvantages in order to play. And that's the biggest thing. Whenever you think of all the obstacles that they had to overcome to get to that stage where they are last night, it's just massive. And you can't touch it and you can't explain it. If you have been within it, then you get it, but you just can't put words on it.
Do you envy it in some way, that you're maybe not 10 years younger and wanting to be part of it?
Yeah, 100%, yeah, totally. You'd be crazy not to. But at the same time, you're so proud how far we've come. You are so excited. And that was all the message I was pinging into the girls last night that were playing. So proud, just so proud, beaming with pride. And everybody we were talking to, and the buzz that's even going on within our email, and it's breathtaking. There's no words. Like, there was a group of about 15 of us went to the Women's World Cup 2 years ago in France, in Lyon, and they were like, imagine we get to the Euros. And that was a dream 2 years ago. Like, that's 2 years ago this July, and that was almost like a dream. And here we are planning of how it's going to look, how we're going to get to the Euros here in England.
I wanted to touch, Nadine, just in your time in America. Obviously, you got a scholarship over there. Mm-hmm. How was that, first and foremost?
Oh, I had an absolute ball. Absolute ball. I went over at 18, had never even been to America before. I'd never flew by myself before, and off I go at 18 years old on a plane to a fella that was going to bring me to this university in a place I'd never been, and I get to New York and the flight is cancelled to take me from New York to Washington DC. So they put me on a bus. Had no suitcase. Don't know where the suitcase went. Don't know if they were transferring them after. Couldn't even tell you. But I was just like, okay. You know, no mobile phones in those days either. So I was in a payphone ringing my coach's mother and father in Green. Rung my mother and father, who then rung his mother and father to tell him that my flight had been cancelled, which he obviously knew because he was watching it on the board. But yeah, it put me on a 6-hour bus journey from New York to Washington. That was fun, so it was a good story. Got to Washington, and yeah, the dream just unfolded. We competed really, really well first year, got the national championship, all conference, all region. Ended up transferring second year. The funding for the programme was struggling, so I went to University of Mobile, Alabama. My now husband, who had met my first year, he transferred also. And that team wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I decided I was going to come home and go to Georgetown. I deferred. I'd kind of decided, and then lo and behold, out of nowhere came this offer to Lee University in Tennessee, which was a fantastic offer, and one I really had to think long and hard about. And I decided to go for it. So I went to University of Lee, smashing team, amazing setup. Everything about it was just professional. You know, with strength and conditioning, it was just so far ahead in terms of development and football. And my husband, lo and behold, he came too. And that's actually where I graduated, taught for a couple of years, had my first son there, so he's a little Tennessee baby. And then after I had him, it just didn't feel the same. I wanted to go home and share it with the family and with my Crusaders family. And to be honest, once you kind of graduated there, and unless you were going to the Women's League, there was nowhere to play unless it was like intramurals or just a bit of fun, and I was still very, very competitive at that stage.
And were you still coming home in between
certain
times and playing
every summer I came home and I played, and wouldn't have been without it. So that's how we always say, like, I played 25 consecutive years because I came home every single summer season. And I had to play. And even the summer that I got expecting over the summer, played half the season, and then of the second child, I got back towards the end of the season. So no matter whether you had children, you got married, wherever you were, it was always like, you got to get back for the season in whatever shape or form that looked.
And just touching on Crusader Strikers, and I could be wrong, but we make it 6 leagues and 2 Challenge Cups in your time with Crusaders. Mm-hmm. How competitive is the league now, Nadine, compared to where it was then? Because I know we touched on it earlier on with Crusader Strikers, Glentoran probably battling it out for those years ahead. Mm-hmm. How competitive is it now, and what does it look like in the Irish League?
So much closer. It was literally the challenge of 2 teams for guts of nearly 10 years, and then all of a sudden all the other teams started to catch up. The standard just started to spread, where it wasn't just the 2 local teams. It was like, okay, it's getting spread further. Fair enough, the Glens have really come tenfold this year, and then the Linfield and the Cliftonville and the league. No game's an easy game, which 10 years ago there definitely was, where you were near revolving a holiday around that, because obviously your summer wasn't your summer. You couldn't go on your holidays the same way, so you were really looking, I can nip away that one and make sure we all aren't away. But now that just doesn't happen. The standard's just so much higher right across the board. Another
thing that doesn't happen very often is that loyalty to one club, and being here for 25 years is incredible. I guess the question, Nadine, is what kept you here for that length of time?
There's just, the essence of it all is family. Like, the investment that I get out of this club and what I put into it, again, is one of those things that I can't really fully explain. It's not really tangible. The friendships that I have formed have been there in my life forever. This 25 years, I'm friends with Stephen Calvert, with Shelley, with Elaine Roden, who actually run the academy before Danielle even took over. Danielle's in her near 20th year. Julie Nelson is the same. She must be nearly 17, or 17, maybe a little bit more. And Heather Mearns and all those girls I've been friends with for almost 20 years. And with Elaine, it's like more than 20 now, I think. Stevie Calvert, 25 years. There would be no other place I would have rather went. And whenever I've been local in the Lurgan area, it's like, I miss the changing room. But even when I come up and I watch the training or whatever's going on, or I'll always get a wee text message, phone call, I still feel very part of the loop. Even though I have been away now a year, I still feel very much part of it. And I'll probably go and raise my little one here for a few years before I probably get stuck into the coaching aspect of it. But it's not something that I'll ever leave. Like, no way, shape or form. It's in my blood. And it's there to stay. Is
that something different maybe in women's football, that player loyalty within clubs? And I guess going back to the original point, what makes these other teams more competitive now and being able to challenge Crusader Strikers and the likes?
Well, in terms of the difference between the men's game and the women's game and the loyalty, is that obviously money doesn't exist in the women's game. So whenever you buy into a team in perhaps your local area and you grow with those kids, you grow with those people, you develop as humans as well as players. And that's massive. And whenever you get that, even when you're young, I don't think you fully appreciate what exactly that is and how important that is for your personal development. Because when things get hard, they're the people that are there and stand by you and invest in you. Not to say that doesn't exist in the men's game. I'm just saying it's different. In terms of the boys' game, money talks, and whatever club's going to offer you this, that, and the other, you're typically going to go there. And if that wasn't the women's game, maybe our game would be slightly different. But I feel very proud to be part of a game where you do play for your shirt, and a lot of girls do go to that one club and they stay there, and that's where they play, and that's where they build their families in and around.
What would your message be for a young girl maybe joining Crusader Strikers, maybe your early teens or going through the academy at the minute? What would your advice be?
funny, that was one of the questions I got asked at their last presentation night. And it was just, what's your message to all these young ones in there? And see, whenever I see them, I just see myself in them, like so proud and so excited for them. And my big thing is, I just tell them to buy in. Because some kids have come to the club or maybe have grew up a wee bit in the club and maybe haven't progressed as well. And then the thought, oh, well, I could get on there, but I can't get on here. What I would always say, dig in. If you really want this and you really put your mind to it and you work hard, and you got to work harder than everybody else, that you will get more out of this than you'll ever put into it, I promise you. And then I look around the hall and I'm able to say, look, I'm best friends with that one, and I go here with that one, and I do this with that one. I mean, without, especially off the back of COVID, like, what are we all craving? Our friendships. Yeah. It's people, it's the contacts. And even off the back of this, like, I've been on Zooms with the Crusaders the whole way through it, going, right, I'm in this one. And the crack's been brilliant. And even times where some of the girls have been down and been struggling mentally, physically, whatever it has been, they've got people to lean on and understand where they're coming from and motivate them. We've never been a bunch of girls who would try to tear each other down or try to like undercut each other. It's always been part of invest, inspire, club together, we buy in. And that's probably the message that I would give to our younger ones coming through. Breathe it all in, buy in, give it your all, because whenever you get to be 39 and you're done, then at least I have all those memories to look back on, and
absolutely.
Champions League and all the presentation nights, and see when we get together, and every year we always have a night out, and that's come back to 25 years of players are coming to these nights out, and it's the reminiscing and the stories and the laughter, and there's something nobody can ever take.
I read a comment from Jurgen Klopp, and he said football is the most important of the least important things, and I think it sums up football, Nadine, just in terms of what you've said. Yes, everybody wants to play football to win. We've all got this competitive side, and we want to go out and be successful and so forth. But it's much deeper, isn't it, in terms of what you've mentioned in friendships. And I wanted to ask you, I know you know the advice that you'd give for a young girl coming through. What would your advice be to come and join Crusader Strikers?
Oh, you wouldn't be sorry. If you're someone that wants to enjoy their football, to enjoy the experience, to build friendships, that's outside of the football aspect of it. That's not even me talking about on the pitch side of things. If you want to come to a club that's organised, that's motivated, that's forward thinking, that has everything you could possibly need to develop as a player, all the pathways. If you're thinking of putting your child in football, your wee girl, and we have every single pathway covered, and we'll bring that child through, but we will develop them first and foremost as a person, and secondly as a player. So that's probably a big message I would send through, where not only are we focused on the football side of it, we are massively focused on how that person is, what sort of human being that person is. And you see, if you've got a good human being, you're going to have a good footballer.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Totally agree. And just wanted to conclude, Nadine, just by asking you, over the past 25 years here at Crusader Strikers, what's been the ultimate highlight?
I don't honestly know if I could put it down to just one. Champions League's obviously an amazing experience. Winning the league titles has been an amazing experience. Just not even I suppose it's not even maybe the big cup finals or the league final. It's more the day-to-day, going to training, enjoying the crack, being in the change room. That's probably the one thing I do miss the most, the changing room. The banter that you get, it's just, like, sometimes I came to that change room so stressed out over the day that you just had, and driving up and down the country and just having to organise so many different things, and then you get in there, you took a deep breath, and you were just ready to go, and the folk of the head came on. But yeah, so I probably couldn't put it down to one. I would have several, and when I think about all the nights that we've had celebrating, and our presentation nights, and the funny experiences that we've had, and the experiences away at Champions League have just been absolutely amazing. So I feel very lucky.
Nadine, I want to just conclude by thanking you, I guess, for 25 years service, but also, and from me speaking to a lot of different people in and around women's football, we know the impact that you've had on them. So thank you very much for giving those 25 years. I know it's not over. I know you're still going to be around the club. You've still got a massive role to play with all the young people coming through. But thank you very much, and we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.